wabarakatuh. My name is Sulthan Rabbani, and I will be presenting my paper about student challenges to offline class during the pandemic based on student perception. First, about introduction. Coronavirus was detected in Indonesia at the end of March 2020. In Indonesia, the COVID pandemic affects all kind of activities, and one of which affects the learning process in school and campus. During the pandemic, learning activities are conducted online, namely hammering the platform or remote communication service providers such as Zoom Meeting, MS Teams, and others. This is done to keep the existing education system running without having to meet each other and prevent the spread of COVID-19, which has more than 1 million cases and has claimed 36,000 lives. However, cases of the spread of COVID in Indonesia have decreased to 2,000 cases. In response to decline in COVID-19 cases in Indonesia, all universities, including Muhammadiyah University of Yogyakarta, began to try to hold offline class for students living in Jogja area. During the offline lecture in the pandemic, UMY implement health protocol that must be adhered to. Carrying out the process of face-to-face learning, university and school must apply applicable regulation. The decree of the foreign minister, Mr. Nadiem Makarim, explained that there are three important points that must be considered regarding face-to-face school in even semester of 2020 and 2021. First, the school university that wants to open must get approval, not only from the local government, but also from the school and the school committee that is representative of the student parents. Second, get permission from the student parents or guardian. At this point, the university cannot force the student to do face-to-face learning. If the parents do not feel comfortable and have not allowed their children to go offline, then learning can still be done by online class. Third, school that are open will make a different policy than before. The number of students attending the class session can only be 50%, and school are also required to improve rotation of our shift to prevent the spread of COVID-19 in school. Health protocols such as the wearing of masks must also be required. However, less than more 50% of the students who attend and take a part in the classroom learning. Research that has been conducted regarding offline learning has a tendency of focus on the learning method applied by school. The advantage and disadvantage of online class and offline class and security facilities are applied health protocol. However, no one has yet discussed the effectiveness problem, challenges, and readiness of the student in implementing offline class during the pandemic. The study was conducted to describe first, the readiness of students in implementing face-to-face learning, second, challenges that will be faced in applying offline class, and last, the effectiveness of face-to-face learning in increasing knowledge and understanding. Several questions were asked to guide this research. First, about, are students ready to carry out face-to-face learning? Second, can students focus if they carry out face-to-face learning without worrying about being exposed to COVID-19? Third, what are students prepared in carrying out face-to-face learning? Fourth, what is prepared by the campus carrying out face-to-face learning? And last, how effective is face-to-face learning rather than online during the COVID-19 pandemic? The next part is about literature review. First, theoretical framework. I divided it into three parts. First, definition of learning theory. Learning is a person's ability to make a change to himself. Learning is considered a process of changing behavior as a result of experience and practice. The process of changing behavior provides an overview of how people develop. A person who learn will experience a process of getting better. Learning is also activity that requires time and process. Learning that starts with him ultimately affect his environment. Learning is also a process of changing behavior due to experience and training. The purpose of learning activities is change in behavior, both in terms of knowledge, skill, and attitude, even covering all aspects of the organism or each individual. Second, online versus offline. The learning process today related to the COVID-19 pandemic disaster is generally carried out online. Quoting from the liputan6.com, online, which is an acronym from within a network, which means connected via computer network, the internet, and so on. The content of learning online is learning method that use interactive internet-based model and a learning management system such as using Zoom, Google Meet, and so on. The learning process is carried out from different places. Online required means one of which is in the internet network. Before the pandemic appeared, generally learning activities were carried out face-to-face or offline. Offline is acronym from outside the network, which means being disconnected from a computer network. Offline activities do not use the internet and computer network, but other media such as TV, document, or without media such as meeting or face-to-face in the classroom. And the third is offline learning in UMY during the pandemic. Conducting offline lecture during the pandemic, Muhammadiyah University of Yogyakarta implement health protocol that must be adhered to. The protocol are carried out such as checking body temperature when you want to enter the area around the campus, providing facilities for washing hands with running water and soap, or using hand sanitizer, using mask, and maintaining distance so that the crowd do not occur. For learning activities in class, the chair or seat between students are given a distance. Student and lecturer are required to wear mask while doing learning. This is done. There's a suggestion of the Minister of Education, Sulthan that university and school must implement a series of regulations stated in the decree of the fourth minister, like what I said before. The second about empirical review. There's a research that has been done regarding face-to-face classes during the pandemic. Siti Faizatunisa and Ahmad Haryanto from the Salatiga State Islamic Institute in 2020 in their study entitled Implementasi Pembelajaran Tatap Muka di Masa Pandemi COVID-19 discuss the learning method applied by school, starting from the preparation of the learning implementation plan and the implementation of learning, which is arranged according to the plan that has been made, as well as evaluation or assessment. Another research conducted by Ahmad Fakri Utwaruk, Sairaman Gultoni, and Ahmad Arif Budiman Sutyon from Simalangun University in 2021 in their study entitled Online Learning and Face-to-Face Learning in COVID-19 Pandemic in Erlangga Permata Siantar Senior High School found that every learning method, both online classes and face-to-face classes, have both advantage and disadvantage. Online class have advantage where learning activities can be carried out by anywhere while only using the meeting platform as forum for online class, but on the other hand, online class have a drawback, namely the problem of signal stability, while face-to-face classes have advantage where there is a direct interaction between teacher and student. On the other hand, face-to-face classes have shortcoming where teacher and student have a great change to being exposed to the coronavirus, especially during this pandemic due to direct interaction between humans. Research that has been conducted regarding offline learning has tendency or focus on the learning method applied by school, the advantage and disadvantage of offline class and also online class, and the security facilities or health protocol that are applied. However, no one has discussed the problem of effectiveness, challenges, and readiness of the student in implementing offline class during the pandemic. Next part is about research method. The study is quantitative method of design by creating questionnaire survey to find out opinion on the implementation of the face-to-face classes in the pandemic according to the student perception. The target of this research is students who in the process of studying. A total of 15 students participate in this study, and I distribute this questionnaire to several discussion groups without time limit, and the questionnaire in the study was adapted from the implementasi pembelajaran tatap muka di masa pandemi COVID-19 in 2020 compiled by Siti Faizatudisa and Ahmad Haryanto, and the journal Online Learning and Face-to-Face Learning in COVID-19 Pandemic in Erlangga Permata Center Senior High School in 2020 is compiled by Ahmad Fakhri Hutwaruk, Sairaman Gultomi, and Ahmad Arif Budiman Nasution. Based on the result of this study, in carrying out the learning process during the COVID-19 pandemic, the most appropriate choice is to do online learning to reduce the risk of spreading COVID-19. However, the effectiveness of the application of the online class is doubtful because there are many obstacles that cause the learning process to be hampered, such as the need for communication tools like smartphone, laptops, and computer and PC, network stability, and others. Permission to conduct the study was obtained from the LTC lecturer. Student invitation to participate in research are made by the author, and participant in this research is voluntary. Questionnaire are shared in multiple discussion group, and the data from the questionnaire was analyzed quantitatively. Responses are classified into yes and no option to make it easier for participants to answer the question. Next, about result or findings. For the first question, how do you respond to the implementation of the online class during this pandemic? According to the first question, there are 15 students who expressed their opinion. 7 students answered it is effective, and another said it is ineffective. There are various reasons for students from each category. 7 students who said effective. They argue that online class made it easier for students to study anywhere. Meanwhile, of the 8 students who said it was ineffective, most of them said that because online class saturated the learning process. For the second question, does online class affect you in absorbing the knowledge delivered by the lecturer? In the second question, there are 14 of the students said yes, and only 1 student said no. There are various reasons for students from each category. Among the 14 students who said yes, there are students who said that online class made them more focused in absorbing lesson, while others said that online class actually made it difficult for them to understand the material presented. And only 1 student said no, and he argued that understanding of the knowledge given remains the same, and he can absorb knowledge well. For the third question, can you adapt the new learning method or online class? According to the third question, it showed that 10 students can adapt to the new learning method, and 5 students said cannot adapt the new method. 10 adaptable students argued that online class are not obstacle to focus on learning. Meanwhile, on the other hand, students who could not adapt said that it was a little difficult to adapt and adjust the learning method that suddenly changed, and some of them require practice. For the fourth question, do you agree with lectures that are conducted face-to-face during the pandemic? Question number 4 showed that there are 8 of students said agree, and 7 students said disagree. There are various reasons for students from each category. A student who said agree argued that they are agree to conduct face-to-face learning process if the health protocol is enforced by university. While 7 students disagree because it could increase the risk of the transmission COVID-19. For the fifth question, are you mentally and physically ready to attend face-to-face classes? Question number 5 show that there are 53.3% of the students said they are mentally and physically ready to attend face-to-face classes, and the remaining 46.7% said otherwise. For the sixth question, are face-to-face learning methods more effective during the pandemic? Question number 6 shows that there are 8 students answered face-to-face learning method is effective, and 7 students said it is not effective. The students that answered effective argue that they can focus on understanding the material presented by the lecturer without worrying about being exposed to COVID-19 on the condition that health protocol must be maintained and improved. For the student who answered not effective, argue that if the condition for the spread of the COVID get worse, offline classes will only make the spread of COVID wider. Seventh question. Is face-to-face learning method more effective or to achieve material delivered by the lecturer? Question number 7 show that 13 students answered effectively and 2 students said no. They argue that face-to-face learning method is effective to understand the material because it is more communicative and interactive between student and the lecturer, and 2 students who said no argue that they still have difficulty to understanding the material presented. For question number 8, do you agree if the online learning method or online class is more effective during the pandemic? Question number 8 shows that there are 10 students answered yes and 5 students answered no to the question about they agree if the online learning method or online class more effective during the pandemic. Students that answer yes argue that online class can prevent the transmission of COVID-19, while most of students that answer not argue that they will find it difficult to understand and absorb lesson in online classes than offline class, and they often have unstable network problem. For the 9th question, or for the question number 9, does your university carry out health protocol as well as possible when doing the learning process in the classroom? Referring to the question number 9, 8 students answered yes and 5 students answered no. The students that answered yes argue that the university has implemented health protocols such as checking body temperature, using mandatory masks, and providing hand and washing station. The students that answered no give response that most of them don't know about the protocol implemented at their university because they have never taken the offline class during the pandemic. Next part about discussion. Students experience challenges in conducting offline class during the pandemic. The focus of students is stressed when carrying out offline class because on the one hand they are also worried about being exposed to COVID-19. Based on the survey result, students think that offline class are more interactive between lecturer and student. They can focus on understanding the material presented by the lecturer. Direct interaction between humans provided more encouragement than just hour in front of the gadget screen and make it boring, so that eliminates concentration. They recalled that offline class made it easier for them to understand the material presented without any problem. They also said that offline class would run well if health protocol were maintained and improved so that students felt safe and could focus on the lesson delivered. In contrast of offline class, there are many complaints about online class such as signal stability problem, unclear material delivered, and students bored who start at computer screen for too long. Indeed, there is a government assistance regarding the provision of data package for both educator and student. But sometimes the network is low and disrupt the learning process. There are various ways that school can carry out learning to fill gaps caused by obstacles during the pandemic, both online and face-to-face learning. For online class, you can use virtual application platforms such as Google Classroom, Google Meet, Zoom, and others, while the method used for offline classes are more focused on the health protocol applied so that students and teachers stay safe, so that the learning process can still take place. Survey show that in running the offline classroom, students are ready mentally and physically. They are ready to carry out face-to-face learning in the middle of this pandemic on the condition that the university can guarantee safety when learning is carried out in the classroom. In carrying out the face-to-face learning process, university and school must apply applicable regulation. School or university that wants to open must get approval from the local government as well as from the school and school committee. Get permission from the parents or guardian of student, and the school that is open will make special policies such as the number of students attending class session may only be 50%. Health protocols such as wearing masks must also be mandatory. University and school have made preparation to keep classroom learning activities safe and well. Health protocols are carried out so that students and lecturers remain safe when learning process is carried out. Various regulations must be implemented in order to avoid the coronavirus. However, students' self-readiness must also be considered. The spread of the coronavirus is still happening. Therefore, university must be able to understand students unless when offline classes are held. Students ready to carry out offline class if the university can prioritize their safety. The last part about conclusion. In conclusion, students have challenges that must be faced to carry out offline class. Focus and concentration of students in face-to-face learning is the main thing so that students can understand the material presented by the lecturer by prioritizing health protocols so they don't have to worry about spread of the coronavirus. The mental and physical readiness of students is prepared so that the classroom learning can be carried out properly without excessive worries with health protocols so that student safety is maintained. In the study, there are benchmarks of the determining of the challenges of offline or face-to-face learning. This aspect consists of the application of the face-to-face learning class during the pandemic, the application of offline class in delivering material, the readiness of the campus to implement offline class, and the readiness of students to apply offline class during the pandemic. Concentrating on the result, all aspects that serve as benchmark for face-to-face learning challenge have been made. I think that's all for my presentation. Thank you for the nice attention, guys, and see you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.